So this week I was able to earn 2 prop firm payouts, but it wasn't earned through being outcome driven. It was earned by sticking to the process and cultivating these 3 habits, which I'll get into, that allowed me to essentially, as a result, earn these payouts. However, let's get into this one here. So the first habit I want to talk about is forecasting. So forecasting essentially is beforehand marking up the charts and getting a good idea of what type of scenarios you look at to enter a position. So let's say we are looking for the market to continue trending to the upside. There could be multiple ways that this happens. So one way could be we get that move up, and then we get a sort of bounce up as we get that retracement, and then a drop down lower, take out this area of liquidity, and then we get a shift to the upside. That's one way. Another way we could get the move to the upside is essentially we get that move up, and then we get more of a trickle up, push up higher, drop down into the area. However, we then move up again, drop again, and then the market then moves to the upside. That's another way. Another way this could come into fruition is that the market expands up higher, drops lower, moves up to the upside. Wait, I'm doing that wrong. Another way is that the market could move up, we then get that essentially retracement, the market moves up high again. However, the market then comes down again, drops lower, takes out their liquidity, and then we get a push to the upside. See, it's all a continuation of the trend. However, how it developed is different. So us forecasting these different scenarios beforehand will kind of mentally prepare ourselves for these different things that can happen. So if this happens, we'll get involved in this, but this one can still happen. So I'm talking about this one can still happen, but then it develops into this. So however, us forecasting will allow us to see beforehand, okay, yeah, these things can happen essentially. So the second habit that allowed me to get a payout is let's say the lack of perfectionism. So the markets aren't perfect. We can forecast, but we can't show exactly how the market and price will play out. So I'm going to go into the charts for this one to kind of give you a good idea of what I'm talking about. So I was looking for the market to continue trending upside. So you see, you got high, low, high, low. However, my overall bias for the week was bullish. So on Sunday, the market opened and price dropped down into this area of liquidity, as you can see here. However, my forecast was that the market could essentially move down into this area of liquidity in a more, let's say, corrective manner, so more of a manner like this. However, as we can see, after market open, the market just gapped lower. So this isn't essentially what I forecasted, but me not looking for perfectionism allowed me to essentially still get involved in this move and get involved in this area, holding for this next leg up higher. So that's another habit that I've cultivated over the years to allow me to essentially not want to see perfectionism to get involved in plays because the market's not perfect. Another habit that I cultivated this week is being present. And what I mean about being present is being in the moment, so being in the flow state. If we're not present to see how price is currently developed, or if we're not being present in the moment, we won't essentially be in that flow state to allow our experience and intuition to kick in. However, being present will allow us to use our intuitive, or let's say sixth sense, if you want to say that. And this is something that I cultivated this week, and I'll use the market for this example. So yeah, again, the markets, I was looking for the markets to remain bullish. So this was the first entry that I got involved in here, and then I essentially got involved here again. I'm gonna have to dive into this one a bit deeper. So we got this move into liquidity, as you can see. So the market had opened, dropped into this area of liquidity, right? However, I got involved in this area here, right? I got involved in this area here. However, no. So my entry was about here, right? My entry was about here. This also comes down to probabilities and stuff like that. However, in the moment, I had a feeling that, okay, the market might want to pull down, even though this is in line my plan. The market might want to pull down a bit deeper to essentially then move up higher. So I opted in for a larger stop. As we can see, price essentially dropped lower, deeper into the move, and then expanded up higher. As we can see, expanded up higher into the range. However, me being present allowed me to essentially tap into that sixth sense and that intuition. Obviously, I never know what's going to happen in the market, but I was in the flow state, in the now moment, to essentially trust in my inner thoughts. And in this moment, it played out my favor. It could have completely not played out in my favor, but it did in this instance. And I listened to what my gut told me, and it worked out. So yeah, those three habits allowed me to get a payout this week, and there's plenty more things that goes into this, but those were the three main things that I kind of took away from this week. Yeah.